Hey, welcome back to the channel. We actually got a sunny day out here today, so we're going to paint the engine block. I'm going to put you on time lapse here and you can watch me get going on this. So things you're going to need, you obviously need a motor. This just came back from the machine shop, hasn't been cleaned. We'll give it an uncover here. Pardon the mess, just in the background. So, block's been used a few times. We're just going to paint the surfaces here. We'll do another video where we'll clean up everything, but we just want to get the block surfaces painted on both sides just to pretty it up a little bit, and then I'll chase all the threads and everything. So we'll tape off the deck, tape off the front of the motor here. We'll tape off the back side where I need to. We'll allow painting of the freeze plugs, all the flange areas. And then what I'm using here, just some simple green to clean up the outside of the block, some rags. Should be able to get it clean enough. And then I'm using Duplicolor. I've had pretty good luck with this stuff. Of course, you'll tape it. You'll want to scrub with your simple green. And then I tend to use the three-part system: the primer, the paint, and the clear. Now, I did this on my differential, and that was very minimal work, and that cleaned up pretty well. Now I've got a lot of projects going on. I'm working on the diff, checked out fine. We're cleaning the back cover up so we can get that mounted in the subframe. So this is what I'm working on in the mornings. Kind of a sneak peek, make a separate video on that, but this is where we're at right now. So we'll set you up on a time lapse so you can kind of see the process, and then I will voice over. This is one of the more time-consuming steps of the process of scrubbing everything after spraying with a simple green, using a wire brush and a screwdriver in some cases, and a flat chisel in some others to clean it up. Round one of scraping's complete. You can see we've got a lot of the crud out. So she's looking pretty bad. I mean, yes and no. It's an O-ringed block that's machined 40 over, and got a little hard block in there up to here. ARPs, Kigley, 6-bolt. So it's going to do some damage, but first we got to make it pretty. So next up is I will spray it with more simple green, wipe it down, then spray it with water, wipe it down, hose it off, tape everything off, and then start painting. So we'll go back to time lapse. I actually halfway through this process decided that I didn't need to hose it off. I was using a spray bottle with water here. So you can see me, I'm squirting water on it, and I'm spraying air out everywhere and squirting more water and spraying, and now we're just taping it off to get ready for paint. So that's a lesson learned here, is just have a second spray bottle filled with water. Helps expedite the process. You don't make a giant mess. So now we're upside down and taped. We'll just trim away all these excess pieces. Painting in there is going to be a little tough, so I'm actually going to just try to get the top side of the block where you'll see it, not where the transmission goes. But you should be something like this, especially if it's been painted before. You don't want anything to be flaking off. You want it to stay on. You want it to be dry, so that way you can just hit it quick with primer. Should be no dirt. Should be nice and clean when you rub your fingers on it. When I was spraying it with water, when I was talking about that part, you will see the water kind of changed. So I usually just use tape. I used to cardboard. Took a lot longer to do the cardboard versus just a roll of tape. So let's cut the tape to edge and then start. Arguably this process probably took the longest, was actually making clean edges. I tried to use the back of a tool to roll it off, but since this block's been needled, and if you haven't used that before, you can look it up. Essentially, it's a way to smooth out casting. There really wasn't a rough edge, so I ended up using a razor blade and tracing it around. What's kind of funny here is we got a couple of barn cats, and you can see them in the background just playing around. Also in the background, you can see that's my front rear subframe for the Stealth. I've been having them kind of bake outside for a while with the various weather. I painted them a while ago. Didn't really film that process. So here we're just cutting all the tape around and getting it nice and clean. Again, this just helps with the clean lines and less cleanup to do, and I just use a razor blade. So there we go, blue block. So So it's pretty much ready for paint. However, the cat signals that I'm almost out of time because it's time to do some more chores. So we'll start the painting process next video. Tune in for that one. Thanks for watching. Decided to put this in one video here, so this is day 2. It's actually in the afternoon. It's quite windy, so I've got the garage door shut. And this is just primer, so you see I just tested the primer after shaking it for a couple of minutes. And these first 2 coats you want to do nice and light, so it's just quick little spurts of paint just to get a good dusting on. And, you know, again, take your time. You don't have to move nearly as fast as I'm doing. Of course, this time lapse. Now you hit it a second time here. And same thing, just maybe a little bit heavier. If you look at the back of your cans, it'll typically tell you 2 coats of light and 1 of heavy. So second coat of primer, again, just make sure everything's nice and clean. You want to wait 10 minutes between coats. Now the third time it's nice and heavy. This one you can see I'm really taking a lot longer to spray the paint on. And it's really changing color and already filling in. You just want a nice even coat with the primer because, again, this is what your paint and ultimately clear coat are sticking to. So take your time, do it right. Make sure you coat everything evenly. So 3 coats of primer. Lighting's not as good over here, but ready for paint. Just like with the primer, shake the can really well with the paint. Start slow. Do a nice even coat. Definitely don't want to go too thick with paint. That's more likely to run than, say, a primer. So you can see I'm moving the gun around a lot. This is actually just one of those clip-on can tops, and I'm just moving it around as I'm painting here, letting it set for 10 minutes and then running a second coat. I actually ran over and did a couple of touch-ups on the diff. That's why you see me going off a screen. So second coat, a little faster. Again, I'm holding the nozzle down quite a bit more. See, really we're shooting it on as we're going. It doesn't take much to paint a block. It's a pretty quick process. It's more wait time. And now here's the third coat, a little bit heavier. The fumes are starting to get a little bit much in the shop, so you can see I'm opening the door in between cuts here, letting it dry for 10 to 15 minutes, and then shooting on the next coat, and so on and so forth. This is the third coat. Now we'll see how it looks. And that's after 3 coats of paint. Again, the bad angle side. So now we'll lock in that nice shine with nice clear. Now, a tip about shooting clear is you definitely want to go light the first coat. You can see I'm moving the gun a lot and not throwing a lot of paint. This can really ruin the paint job if you put it on too thick initially. Second coat, spraying a little bit heavier, really making sure I'm getting all the angles. Now, the paint I'm using is a high temp 500 degree paint that is rated for this. So when I first start the build, it'll probably get a little bit of smoke in and then it'll seal in. The third coat and final coat, you can really lay it on a little bit thicker. The odds of running are less. Again, don't keep the gun moving, keep the paint can moving so you don't have any runs. It'll be really hard to see in the clear, but it will show up in the final job. So let's see how this looks. So there you have it. It's been painted. Now we'll let it dry for 3 hours or whatever your can says. Pull the tape off, cover it in a bag. Next step for this block is to run thread chasers through all the threads, clean it up really good, clean it again, probably clean it a third time, drop the crank in, start making sure the aluminum rod's clear. Hopefully this is helpful. It's pretty simple to clean up a block. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Thank you.